just a wee warm up before I introduce myself again, just because it's pretty calm. So I thought everyone would get a seat, but there's far too many to get a seat. So if you're sitting down, stand up, and if you can stand in, put your hands up there, okay? Ready, go. Okay. Okay, so we're going to play a wee game. If I can put up a wee sample of what everybody's actually doing for feeding cattle. Okay, so it's all about your feeding and finishing cattle. So you can sit down or arms up there, place people at the back, that's cheating. Hands up, right, hands up, that's good. Right, you can sit down or put your hands down. You use routine treatments for your grazing cattle and at housing time as well with flu and wormer and pneumonia vaccines. Oh, look at that. Look at this. What a use. I'll be stopped. Oh, okay. Okay, right. Well, that's a new start. So, what we're going to look at is the med considerations for feeding cattle systems. Okay, now when we're talking about, I mentioned some of the drugs and costs involved. Basically, I'll be basing that on a 500 kilo store. Okay. So, yeah, we basically figure out either written or print it out here. Is that okay? Can folks see the bar? Is it big enough? Oh, sure, that's nice. Well, I'll just listen carefully. Okay, so maximising health and performance in finishing cattle systems. So, hang on to this. Hold on, I'll get that cell paper. There you go, wonderful. Okay, so what we'll look at first is pneumonia. Clearly, it's the biggest risk to production for the finishing cattle, certainly this time of year during the housing period. So, very briefly, put the answers underneath here. So, at-risk cattle group, which beasts are more at risk of developing pneumonia? What kind of groups? So, if I give you one to start with, my first thing was going to be your housing cattle. Okay, that's an answer. One answer. What are the other options you take just to get involved? What are the things that puts cattle at risk of dying pneumonia?
Recently born.
Correct. So, yep, graft from the black. Yep. Okay. What about younger ones? Younger stocks. And then weaning? Newly weaned. Yes, weaning. Okay. On the other things, basically on the forward transport as well. Didn't necessarily have to do that. Only forward transport. Okay, that's good. So you're at this cattle. First 3 weeks, you've got them in. You can see here underneath transit fever. It's a classic thing. Good old-fashioned bacterial pneumonia. It's the type of thing that Jagger, Lomactin used to sort, and it still does sort it in a lot of occasions. Unfortunately, transit fever is very common in the first 3 weeks of post-stress, like movement, buying in, weaning, that kind of early dribbling, those type of things. Yeah, bog standard type of pneumonia that we're fairly used to handling. The first half of the winter is an extra period of time to look at for pneumonia type problems, and we're looking at viruses and bacteria there. So, any names of viruses that spring to mind of problems you maybe had in the past? IVR, yes? IVR, good. Any other viruses? RSV, good. Yep, that's probably the two most important ones. There's also a thing called PI3, which is added on and often kind of classed together with RSV. It doesn't necessarily cause significant disease, but just lets everything else in. It opens the door to other problems. And these are usually bacterial. So, bacterial names, you guys familiar with various types of bacteria? We've talked about transit fever. That's pasteurellosis under a different name. Any other bacteria that guys you've heard about? Haemophilus or Histophilus? Folk heard of that at all? That's quite a common one we see as well. Can be quite serious. But there's a mycoplasma as well. There's a fair range of stuff. But these are the types of things antibiotics are designed to sort out. Okay, now a good idea about here. I find that can be a problem at any time in the housing period, and I've even seen it in stabs of grass occasionally as well, which is a bit of a pest. Okay. I find that this transit fever, talking of native grass, can also occur in the first 3 weeks of buying, whether it's in spring, you're chucking them outside, they'll get sporadic pneumonia problems at the early grazing period as well. It's predominantly a pasteurellosis type problem. So costs, well, SAC and various other vets will quote you 80 quid for an average case. The price is up to over £100 if you retreat it. And I personally, depending on the drugs and the size of the beast involved, it's probably a lot higher than that if you retreat a beast. The costs. Yeah, no, chronic ill thrift. those beasts that just will not thrive, fail to cure properly. And here's a little regularity which you should probably, well, hopefully too many recognise too quickly. That's a full picture of the regularity. So that's fairly obvious what it costs. So what can you do about it? Prevention. There's all different management things you can do. So what sort of things managing steps correctly to minimise pneumonia risk out with vaccination and antibiotics. So what can you actually do? Well, there's get the grouping right, not mixing them, keep the age groups correct, keep them as closely aged together as possible. Once you've got a group stocked in the building, don't have to keep adding beasts every week, every time you sneak off the face, then come here with another 12 or 20, then I shove them in a cooler. Try and keep the group stable if you can. Stock density is important as well. You've far gone money beasts in here, the bedding's always wet, building's always steamy, and that's clearly not a very good environment either. Building design is actually very important, and I guess you guys get a good chance to look at this great fancy new sheds we've got here as well and discuss the pros and cons of having such a big shed. Ventilation, clearly, a day like today when it's breezy, there's fairly plenty of ventilation in a lot of these places. Bedding type is important as well. Very wet bed clearly creates a damp atmosphere, and that's a problem. And clearly, we discussed bedding at the last SAC meeting with different forms of bedding, whether it was peaked or you're still managing to access decent strain, whether you're going back to try and utilise maybe an old set of slats you had before. So that's important. That can have effects on the actual humidity in the building. And feed type I find as well. It's not totally proven, but I have a hunch that I reckon if you really push on steps too quickly, as soon as they come home, rumen health can be affected, could be badly affected by too high a barley diet too suddenly. And that can actually lead to more serious pneumonia problems, or worsen an existing pneumonia problem. So, other options, you've got vaccinations, and if you like, what we do is we'll flip over a very briefly and we'll look at the costs. The arguments to know why, why we should use these, why we should choose to do them. So, I'll put that in the back page here. Okay, so the costs, so 500 POBs, the vaccines, we're looking at the cost of a case of pneumonia, you're looking at the cost of extended feeding times or finishing times for a group of beasts that have had it bad dose of pneumonia. What's the cost here? So a jackal antibiotic, that's really a bad idea when they come home. That's not a lot. You look at that's the classic thing. A lot of the number of folk that sat there and put their hands down, they must be doing something. So presume a lot of you guys are using a lot of IVR for new home cattle, and that would be a very useful thing to look at. Remember, with IVR, you have two options depending on the vaccine you use. You can go for convenience and shove it IM in the muscle, because that's an awful lot easier than when you've got a rest load of beasts to do. It just takes a bit longer to work. Recently had a case where that had been encased, done it in the muscle, and then 2-3 days later, we touch a mild IVR in one beast and one or two other dribbly noses, and the option was just to wait until 7 days has elapsed, and that's when the IVR IM starts to kick in. If you stick it up their nose, which is a hell of a lot more work, a lot less fun or more fun, depending on how you look at it, it works within almost 24 hours it's starting to have effect. You've got the RSV-PI3 that we talked about, you've got that intranasal option. It's an awful lot of data, with a hell of a difference there. I'll just draw your attention to a thing we've been doing in Melbourne, which is RSV-PI3 mixed with BVD. It's actually cheaper than the two by itself. So we've done something cutting with that to get around that system. The advantage of the nose is it works one shot at the nose, and that will last about 3 months, which gets you through the difficult period of the BN. There's various other vaccines here. You can vaccinate against Pasteurella. There's a drawback with that though. It only covers one type, and there's about 3 common types of Pasteurella, so that's a bit of a waste. You still get the other type of Pasteurella. You've got Bristol Malt 4 here, under its posh name with the different viruses covering. That means 2 shots. 3 to 4 weeks apart. That's not really much use if you're just bringing these beasts in or you just buy them in. It just doesn't work. But there is a SureCard system, which you may or may not have seen before. As guys selling them, and they've said, they've signed in that paper saying, I gave the Bristol Malt 4 twice, 2 weeks before they went to the mart. Brilliant. So they're ready vaccinated for you, and that's the kind of stuff we're watching out for. Okay, so any questions? We're running on because we're making things sure that we can time. So we'll see how that gets on their answer in the next group. Okay, so we've got worms in long worms, so excuse me. I think that's almost certainly the most common production limiting disease that we see. Nearly everybody will get worms, will have cattle with worms at some stage, at some point. insofar as the Meadows surveillance programme we've been doing in the last 6 or 7 months, 11 out of 15 farms tested positive for lungworm at some point in the season. Some of them were actually after they'd done the odd housing dose as well, so we're trying to figure out how that happened. But there's another lungworm, right? That's a lungworm larvae, and they look like under the microscope when you take a sample, when you test a sample. So worms, okay, it's a grazing season problem, they pick it up off the grass, they eat up the eggs on the grass, cycle it through. The adult worms produce a lot of eggs, which contaminates the grass further, and therefore more cattle will pick them up. With lungworm, they actually don't pass out eggs, they just pass out larvae, which is quite unusual. And so, gutworms called scour, whoos. Sometimes it can be very severe whoos, a very specific problem you may or may not see. Mild whoos, when you're taking these wee take them in at the end of a grazing season, you see a lot of them slithering and horsing about once you've chased them through the park, because when they come out the gate. That's a great way of diagnosing mild whoos, because you see drops of saliva coming out of them and a great big cough, tongue hanging out, and that's mild whoos it's affecting. So ill threatened is a significant problem, because principally it's a lack reduction. Okay. So cost, okay, we've worked out that worms will reduce feed intake by about 1 kilo of dry matter per day. And the key is you've got to get these beasts to eat, otherwise they can't possibly put on weight. The other problem is the result is that they reduce live weight gain by about 150 grams per day. So over a 100-day period of time that you guys might be looking to keep them for, 15 kilos of live weight less, suddenly becomes quite expensive. And that's going to increase your time to slaughter a little bit. Lungworm, they can't actually die with lungworm. You see, very badly affected beasts can't kill. Can't be killed by it, especially if you worm them, and that treatment of the process of worming them could make lungworm worse, because the lungworm larvae, or the adults, sit in the airways, you kill them, and then let go of the airways and be inhaled down into the lungs, and they actually choke to death in severe cases. Very bad lungworm, long time to recover, and so there is suggestions, though it's not well proven, that pneumonia can be worse in these animals after housing. So what can you do with worms? Well, control worms are good pasture management. So rotational farming systems, plough down the worm eggs and get rid of them. So clean rats when you sow out next time is helpful. Cross grazing with sheep can get rid of a high percentage of the worms, because there's not a huge crossover between sheep worms and cattle worms, so that can help the sheep can eat up the cattle worm eggs and vice versa. So that's sometimes a useful thing. There's another cunning thing to watch out for a lungworm. These little larvae are mobile, and they can jump around from field to field and move about 50 to 100 yards by themselves. That's not because they can swim, because they're not that big, they can't do it that way. What they do is they're in a cow paddock, and there's a little fungus called Pylobulus who grows out of the, a bit like cress I suppose, it grows up out of the, it's a little wee guy, he grows out of the plant like that, and then it gets a wee sporulated head on the top, this wee kind of seed head on the top, and it just swells up, and then at the same time swelling up, the lungworm chap, he realises what's going on, he slithers up to the top of this little kind of hand grenade, if you like, which goes and explodes and sends all the Pylobulus spores flying out the place, but also catapults this lungworm larvae into the next pack, and they've seen it go 50 to 100 yards by the system on the wind. So you think you've got a clean pack, but not necessarily. The next door pack can infect it. So it's quite fun. So what can you do with worms? Okay, so you've all got your strategic worming plans that you should be looking at. Everyone was sitting down very quickly, so we've all got something to think about. So what options we've got? Well, you've got your standard housing dose are poured on when you take them inside. Pretty reliable, we've been doing that for the last 20 years. It's been very effective. Helpfully, it also treats lice as well, which is a useful thing, because lice can reduce, severe lice, especially at this time of year, can significantly reduce feed intakes. So that's helpful. What are the options for grazing periods? Well, season long worming. How many guys? 2 minutes left. Okay. We've got Sidectin we can use as well, which is that jack-binding lug, which will last for up to 108 days, which gives season long protection. The other way is to do pour on 3 times in the season, which you guys from Dexmax will be telling you all about. It's a lot of work. Okay. Okay, fluke. Let's have a fluke very briefly, because we're running half short time. 3 out of 10 farms were positive on this survey. We were doing, and that's homebred stuff, because name bought any, this is homebred calves and cows we were testing. So there is food, relatively new to the North East, based on wet grazing. It's a bit like the same idea as worms, a little bit more complicated, requires one snail to complete its life cycle. But wet grazing, so southwest Scotland cattle, anywhere out with Aberdeenshire is now a high risk area in Aberdeenshire, just a sort of low to medium risk area still. Some farms have got it, some don't. Probably cases long, 27 days. I've got costs and fluke withers. You guys will all see, I presume, fluke in the kill sheets when you get the kill sheet here. Does that mean? Well, it means potentially up to this, reduced live weight days. Also, your sudden death can increase in your feeding beasts. Finger blast disease, same idea. It's the same silent disease as the kill sheet, sudden death of sheep, same idea. Facilitated by fluke passing through the liver. That's a significant cost. So you've got environmental control, drainage, keep the parks dry, pipe water in a trough, and not water it, because that's what fluke is really good control. So flukicides. Seems like you're all using a lot of flukicides, so that's good news. The only snag is, remember, it's not straightforward like worming. Not all flukicides work immediately. Sometimes you have to most of them you have to wait 4 to 6 weeks off grass before it will kill all the fluke inside them, because immature fluke, the ones that have less than 4 weeks inside the beast, are resistant to most of them. Okay, of course, okay. So other problems with blackleg, BUV, we're going to go on latest comments. I absolutely hate latest and feed beasts. Total pest. I like to see the foot bath there that we've got at the front door, which is a new sign, but we're running short of time. So, one other thing, what we need to do is figure out, talking about some of the basic stuff, how would you monitor how well what you're doing? Is it working? Could it work better? Is it working at all? Probably various problems. So you actually be thinking of working at a live weight game, time on farm, etc. Are these beasts performing well enough? If not, if you're not happy, why not? And is it a health issue or is it a feeding issue? Okay. So we look at recording ammonia rates. All the beasts that took pneumonia, same fat, off the same gut, same herd number. This is clearly these beasts probably arrived with a touch of pneumonia in them. I'll maybe avoid buying for him next year, for example. A little bit of basic analysis. And the same would go for a fluke as well. And think, hang on, there's a fluke here, one there, all the same numbers. Again, same problems coming up. It looks like a soft or it's just spread through all the numbers, all the herd numbers. Is it because it flukes at your place if there's been a grazing season in your farm? And other cool thing I would have brought out time.
I was just wondering, a wee bit of time for any questions? Or are you just about finished?
I've got one other, I've got 30 seconds more. So more complex monitoring was what I would briefly want to talk about when we run out of time. Was, okay, vet investigations, pneumonia, you've also had to think about that. Floating worming accounts like we've been doing, that surveillance thing, does it play a part in feeding cattle systems? Well, it could do, especially for the grazing period, because there's no point in letting these cattle cycle a lot of worms in the summer, because that will be affecting their growth rates. That's something to think about. Whole ration analysis, that's probably for Willie next door at Harborough. Trace element testing, it's not something we commonly do with beasts, because it's rare for them to be, especially on a feeding diet, finishing diet, short of copper, cobalt, selenium, vitamin E. Certainly if they are, that's a big mistake. Q-box analysis, any hands up who's got Q-box analysis? Yep. Who's using it to their full potential? You're supposed to get a hand up here. There you go. But who's using it to their full potential? Dan, put your hand out at this point. Okay, so it's certainly something to think about. Enhanced slaughterhouse surveillance. This is what the pig guys are doing. This is the only thing I really want to see, which is why I'm just waiting for enough time. So, what the pig guys are doing, they've been doing it for years, and if it wasn't paying dividends, I'm sure they would have stopped it, because they didn't fight for things that aren't worthwhile. Enhanced surveillance, what they do is, it's usually a vet, and one of my colleagues has been doing it. They go into the slaughterhouse and look at different batches of pigs they're going through, and then monitor. They'll look at the lungs, they'll look at the livers, they'll look at the skins of the pigs, sometimes they'll look at snouts as well, looking for the specific classic endemic diseases that they see in pigs, like enzootic pneumonia. They'll look at the thickening in the guts, which is a particular problem with pigs. They'll look at the skins for mange, which is mites, which can cause problems with pigs. All the classic things, and then they'll score them, get back to the producer and say, look, this is a problem, that's increased recently, why is your pneumonia problem developed, is there something wrong here? And I was just wondering whether or not this is something that might have any mileage in the cattle side of things, other than just hoping that the slaughterhouse right in fluke fluke. That's basically what you've got. Could we do anything more exciting? And that was an idea I wanted to put to you. Okay, questions for the right? Chuck time.